Welcome back after too long of a hiatus to another episode of the Goonery. Brandon, I'm very happy that we're back. We're here. A lot on the table there. It's been pretty long since we've been here. A lot of shit going on. It's been so long that Chicago Bears have a new head coach and a new general manager, and I'm excited, and I did not think I would be.
So Ryan Poles, I was instantly excited about. You're always happy to get a young guy in the office to get, just new, fresh ideas, especially coming from an organization as successful as the Kansas City Chiefs. That was, to me, a home run hire. And then you go to the head coach and Matt Eberflus. And I will admit, at first I said, cool, yeah. Because if you look at Matt Eberflus and then you look at the other candidates that was out there, Eberflus was like, okay, well, he was good defensively for the Colts. I mean, the Colts were good for the past couple of years. And I think for a lot of Bears fans, initially, it was like, all right, he's not a sexy hire. He feels like just another guy that the Bears just hired because, like, the brass liked him. And I looked at it that way until I heard his press conference, and I think just getting some simplicity back into the workplace for the Chicago Bears was the most important thing, because if we really want to look at the past 2 years, there was not any type of just basic football play from who was at the helm of the Chicago Bears. So I think regardless of not going the offensive route, it's not the biggest of deals, because at the end of the day, like Eberflus is going to do with Fields, he is going to he's going to help him out reading coverages and all this other stuff that goes into being a quarterback. So I understand the hot offensive mind is always going to be the top target, especially for a guy that's going to his second year as the starting quarterback of the football team. But just getting continuity back on the sidelines is the most important thing. And I think the Bears did hit a home run with the hire, and that's obviously going to come within time, but they made a really good hire here. And I can't wait to see when March 16th comes in what the Bears are going to do in terms of retooling this team, because I don't think they're far off of being, at least a contender to be in the playoffs, but they do have some things to fix. And I do believe that, just off the press conference with Ryan Poles, that the offensive line is definitely going to be addressed, because that was the main point of his emphasis of what needs to improve. And I think he will be steadfast in improving it.
Yeah, and I always love when offensive linemen, because I think offensive linemen are the smartest football players on the field at any level. I think because they need to know the defensive schemes, they need to know the offensive schemes, top to bottom. I mean, obviously everyone needs to know that, but I just think there's something about an offensive lineman. And Poles is a smart guy, Boston College grad, not a bad school, and being in that Chiefs organization for, I think, what was it, a decade almost, a little over a decade. He's been around the block. He knows what he's talking about. And the fact that the Bears gave him full power over who to hire at head coach speaks volumes, in my opinion, just because you didn't see that in the past. Matt Nagy, John Fox, you did not see that. And the notion that the Bears are not setting up Justin Fields for success, I think, was kind of shot down pretty quickly when the Bears hired Luke Getsy to be the offensive coordinator, because guess what? Aaron Rodgers loves Getsy, and I'm excited to see how he develops him.
100%. And one thing that really stood out to me that it was talked about, but like it really, really stood out with me, because you had all these weird rumors about Justin Fields being traded, but to some team. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure where it came from, but it came out of nowhere, and I'm just like extremely confused by it. But the fact that he was following the two guys that's going to be in charge for the Chicago Bears going forward, that's a very, very big vote of confidence, and that shows that. And you got these, publications that kind of like say like, oh, we don't know how. Well, guess what? The team believes in him. He got that vote of confidence. That's the only vote of confidence that you need. That's from the team and whomever the regime is coming in, how they perceive him. So, I do think that the Bears, in terms of weapons, they have a long way to go in terms of like getting everyone in place. But at the same time, I do think that the vote of confidence is a very, very good measure of how the Bears are going to approach getting weapons from whether it be free agency or the draft.
It's interesting because they have a solid core of offensive weapons. You have David Montgomery, who's a top 10 back, in my opinion, easily when he's healthy. Cole Kmet, I guess you could still consider him a weapon if he learns how to catch a football and if used properly. So, I mean, I'm going to kind of give him a wash these last couple of years in the Nagy system, just like everyone else. And then you have Darnell Mooney, who he's been electric his first 2 years in the league. Like, he has surprised me. And that was the one thing Ryan Pace was good at, was finding those mid to late round gems. And Darnell Mooney has shown he's a above average, competent wide receiver in the NFL. Yes, can he improve his hands a little bit? Does he have a little bit of a drop issue? Yes, absolutely. But if you get a wide receiver, a real legit wide receiver one who wants to play, unlike Allen Robinson, I'm excited to see that with Justin Fields. I mean, everyone's talking about David Bell for the Bears in the second round out of Purdue, and I would love that personally. I mean, obviously, I want to see the offensive line addressed and the secondary shored up a little bit, but wide receiver is a big area of concern, and I think Bell's a good fit, and it's a interesting free agency crop as well.
You got Christian Kirk out there. You got, well, to a lesser extent, Odell Beckham. Jarvis Landry might be out there. There are guys that can easily come in day one and fix like the top of the wide receiver core. So it's just going to be a matter of who wants to play for Chicago. And I think with how much of a continuity issue there was just from stemming from Matt Nagy and Ryan, I'm losing the name, Ryan Pace. It's different. You could just tell there's a difference. It's not no cliche nonsense. You could just tell there's real football guys that's in the room. And I'm not saying Nagy or Pace weren't football guys, but those were just guys that just didn't know how to do the job. Mm-hmm. So it really all depends, because I think Chicago is always going to be a destination for a lot of guys because it's a football city, regardless of how people perceive the Cubs or how the Bulls are doing right now. The Chicago is always going to be about the Bears. So I believe that it will be a destination, but it's just a matter of you got to open up the checkbook, and they got cap space. It's not like last season. They got cap space, so they can work with it a little bit.
Yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like a sense of excitement hearing how big of meatballs Eberflus and Pohl's press conference initial presser kind of sounded like. Because yes, they were saying all the cliche things that your dad would get fired up over, and your dads and your uncles would be talking about, like, oh my God, these guys want to play hard-nosed football like the old days. But as dumb as it sounds, that fired me up too. From what we've seen the past couple years with Nagy and just ineptitude, I'm okay with going back to the basics and just smashing the football down your throat. I'm okay with that, and I'm excited to see the direction they go. And it will really, I think we'll really know how they start out with free agency, that they have to set the tone, and then I'm a firm believer in what Poles is talking.
Yeah, and remember, the simplicity of the Chicago Bears was when they hired Lovie Smith. Mm-hmm. You know what? And regardless of how fans may perceive him, he did lead that team to a Super Bowl. That team was almost competitive every single season under him. So if we want to go back to the basics and just play fundamental football and not try to be too cute with, offense and stuff like that, I'm totally fine with that. Listen, I don't give a damn about winning sexy. Damn it, I just want to win. Okay. So that's all I care about. And I believe that's the message that's being sent. It's all about winning. It's not about being cute while doing it. Just win.
No, I mean, that's it. And I also just want to give a shout out to Lovey. Best Chicago Bears coach since he's better than Ditka. I will say Lovey Smith was a better head coach than Mike Ditka. And I'm happy to see Lovey get another shot in Houston. I hope it works out for him. It's a fucking horrible situation that he's walking into, but I'm pulling for Lovey down there.
Absolutely. And also, I hope this is not a David Culley situation because, oh my goodness, how in the hell can anybody want to coach the Texans other than Josh McCown? Because they knew if he got hired, there's been a firestorm of shit coming their way, which would be well deserved. So it's not an issue bringing in Lovey. Obviously, people are going to be like, well, he didn't do that well in college. What did they expect to do in the NFL level? The man's been a coach in the NFL before, and it's not like he's had, bad track record everywhere he's been. Tampa Bay was an outlier because they had a bad roster. Chicago, he did what he could, and he was actually pretty good at it. So I'm happy for him. And, I would have a rooting interest in the Texans because he's the head coach there.
Yeah, I'm going to be a part of the Davis Mills Mafia cheering for Lovey because
right.
I mean, you got to love. I mean, it's cliche. You got to love Lovey. And I just want to give him a shout out too. His beard might be the best beard in sports right now.
It's not even close. It's
not even close. It's incredible. He pulls it off so well. But moving on to, I guess we could say some NFC North news as well. Aaron Rodgers posted quite the interesting Instagram post yesterday, thanking his now, I think, ex-fiance. I don't know if they ever officially got married. Shailene Woodley, thanking her for saying he'll always love her, thanking the Packers, thanking the Friday crew, whatever that was. And it just seemed a lot like he's done in Green Bay. I don't know if you saw it, what you thought about it, but my initial thought was that he's done in Green Bay.
It's hilarious to me that he made that post and then went on the Pat McAfee show saying, well, I'm not making a decision right now. Well, if you're tipping your hand, you did a horrible job at it because not for nothing, like it sounded like a retirement post. I mean, not for nothing.
Yeah.
If I see a slide of pictures in a paragraph, I'm going to Tom Brady. I'm thinking of do retiring. So if he's done in Green Bay, at least in my opinion, I think it's for retirement because it just seemed too much like it. And also the whole thing with shouting out his ex-fiance, listen, I'm not a petty man. I'm not a petty man at all. And I believe in, there are people that can end on good terms as exes and stuff like that. But you couldn't text her that.
Yeah.
Because now it's so weird now. Just, 1 week they call off the engagement. You want to know what happened? Did Aaron Rodgers talk about the most outlandish shit to her, and she just got tired of it? And then now you're just like, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk too much. I was just trying to press you with how smart I am. Like, it's weird. But to the football aspect, if you wanted attention, just say that. I took that as this is somebody who was just like, they haven't really talked about me in a while. Matthew Stafford won his first championship. He has the same amount of championships as me, by the way. And, I kind of want the attention back on myself. That's how I took it. I think it was a retirement post without really saying he's retiring. But if he's actually retiring after that post, you kind of look like a fool because you're going to make another post after you retire because that's who he is.
So I kind of took it more so the route he was leaving Green Bay, but I could very well see it being a retirement, but it's just the thing that I just lost my mind over was the quote that you would see on like a 55-year-old white woman's kitchen wall that's saying gratitude is wine for the soul, go on and get drunk. It's like, dude, it's something I'd see at my aunt's house. Like I don't get it. And then just the hardcore simping of thank you for letting me chase after you the first couple months after we met and finally letting me catch up to you and be a part of your life. Thanks for always having my back, for the incredible kindness you show me and everyone you meet, and for showing me what unconditional love looks like. I love you and I am grateful for you. Come on, man. Like, come on.
That sounds like a man that know he messed up is trying every bit of his power to win her back. A typical man, if that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah. And the other very interesting thing that I saw on Twitter about it was the last slide of, I think there's 10 pictures in the deck or whatever. But he put Rodgers of the week. I think he set out week 16, I believe, or 17, whatever week he set out hurt towards the end of the year. He usually stood in between Randall Cobb and Devontae Adams for the national anthem. And the last picture in the deck was Randall Cobb standing next to Devontae Adams without Rodgers there.
Yeah.
So that's why I took it as him leaving Green Bay more so than retirement.
It's so weird because it could really be either or.
Yeah.
But if that is as cryptic as it gets, you know what? Credit to Aaron Rodgers. I can't believe I'm saying that, but credit to him. He knows how to play the social media game very, very well. Because I mean, everybody's gonna look at that particular picture and be like, oh, well, that's pretty interesting. That could really look like next season. But I tell you this, no, going away from the post, Packers really need Aaron Rodgers to make a decision quick, fast, in a hurry. They have some decisions to make on some players, and if Aaron Rodgers is going to go full douchebag like he is and just hold up the process for the Packers, that's really going to cost them. So if he really cares about this organization and he wants to, really show how great of a guy he is, because he always tells us. So he needs to make a decision, and he needs to make it fast, because from a football standpoint, it could get bad for the Packers. Granted, I would want that, but I'm just talking from a unbiased perspective.
I don't feel like the Packers are sold on Jordan Love anymore. I really don't. I think that they would go a different direction at this point in time and look for a free agent guy to come in. Dare I say Mitch Trubisky to come in and challenge Jordan Love for a starting job. Could you imagine that twist of fate if Mitch Trubisky ended up terrorizing the goddamn Bears for a decade as the Packers quarterback?
That's why I'm hoping the Giants pick him up. But it's interesting to me that they're fight. Like, listen, I get Aaron Rodgers is a generational talent. He's generational. No matter, I think he's gonna go out and still be like a top 5 quarterback, quite like Brady did, right?
Yeah.
Now, the Packers still are under the belief they can win with Aaron Rodgers, but it's funny to me how, not for nothing, Aaron Rodgers isn't all that full for why the Packers haven't won a championship since 2010,
11, yeah.
Yeah, but he's also had a part in it. So if the Packers want to run the risk of having a guy that simply hasn't gotten the job done for the chunk of his career, I'm not sure at age 39, age 40, that's ever going to change.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you not win a championship with Aaron Rodgers, because he could go somewhere in a championship. Maybe it could have been a Green Bay problem. But at the same time, you may want to be careful, because it can get to a point where you are getting rid of him way too late and he may fall off a cliff. I'm not saying that will happen, but there's a big, big possibility whether he falls off a cliff or he gets injured. Remember, Aaron Rodgers does not have the best history with injuries. So you got to be extremely careful with your decision. But I would, if I'm the Packers, I'm sitting down with Aaron Rodgers. I'm saying, listen, this has to be it. We have a quarterback in waiting. We're tired of waiting for him to take over, and we need to win a championship. This got to be the last year, or else we got to go in a different direction. Regardless of how great you are, we cannot let you stick around and potentially you digress or get hurt. Tough decision, but it's got to be made.
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid point. So before we move on from this, if Aaron Rodgers ultimately does not retire and leaves Green Bay, do you think he goes to Denver, or do you think he goes to somewhere else? Because I think if Denver Broncos land Aaron Rodgers to be their QB1 next year, they are I mean, I don't think that a guy who can't win the big game would want to go to a division with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Derek Carr, but you have to, the Broncos have to be considered a contender at that point.
They don't have no choice, because let's look at it like this: the Broncos don't get Aaron Rodgers. Who are they going to go with? Drew Lock again? And I've been on the record talking about how bad of a GM John Elway has been strictly off of the quarterback situation that he's had after Peyton Manning retired. It's been terrible. And and I'm telling you, if John Elway never won 2 Super Bowls for the Broncos, his ass would have been out the door already. Let's keep that in perspective. Now, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, do I want to go with a bang and want to compete with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes? Or do I want to follow Brady's footsteps and go to Tampa Bay? Or do I want to go to New Orleans and take over that division, because that division is wide open now. It is wide open. And not for nothing, if you look at the NFC, you have the Rams, you have the 49ers, you have the Cardinals to a lesser extent, and then you have the Cowboys in the NFC East. That conference is wide open. It is wide open. And the Rams are a very good team. They'll probably be in the thick of running it back. But if you put Aaron Rodgers on the New Orleans Saints, you telling me that they can't compete with the Rams in NFC? Oh no, they absolutely will. But that's why it takes a big splash by some team in the NFC to keep up, because it's not that hard of a conference to keep up.
Didn't even think about the Saints, to be completely honest with you. And something I kind of would have to think that can't guard Mike Slant Boy might be back, and that would be a scary duo if you ask me.
Oh, I mean, not for nothing. I don't want to take anything away from Devontae Adams, but if you saw the routes that he would run in that offense, Mike Thomas could do the same exact thing, and it'll be the same exact results. So that'll be a deadly tandem. But let's just hope that Mike Thomas actually want to play football next season.
Yeah, so let's hope Aaron Rodgers does not play in the NFL again. That would make our lives a lot happier. But
100%.
Moving on to college basketball, Brandon, how does it feel to know that you have a basketball coach that is okay with abuse and battery and putting others in harm's way?
Okay, so let me preface this by saying I don't defend Juwan Howard's actions. However, I want those who, well, I got 2 points about this. I want someone to go up to a grown man in public and put your hands on him. What do you think is going to happen? And listen, I live in Jersey City. Jersey City is not a very, very kind place. Okay. And just New Jersey in general, we all got attitudes around here. So if you even dare putting your hands on another grown man, you're probably going to end up in the hospital bed. You're not going to live to tell about it. It's either or. So let's apply this to the game on Sunday. He's clearly trying to walk past. He's not happy about the timeout being taken. And, if you want to complain about Howard playing a full court press when you're down by double digits, okay, I understand that. I thought it was a little bit foolish because there was no way in hell the Michigan was going to come back and win that game or even tie it. But if you're trying to avoid a confrontation, because obviously the two sides were not happy with each other because of what was going on, just walk past and act like nothing happened. But he walks up and he grabs him. Listen, until you are put in the shoes of Juwan Howard, don't say a damn word. You are not going to let another grown man touch you like that, especially if it's with malice intent. I ain't saying Greg Gard was going to hit Juwan Howard, but regardless, you don't put your hands on other people. I thought we learned this stuff in pre-K, but apparently we all forgot that stuff. Number 2, there are people that are well in their 50s, 60s, 70s that have takes on these and saying how Juwan Howard what he did was a disgrace to the game. He should lose his job. You should never have your kids put in harm's way and all this other stuff. You know who y'all grew up watching? You know who y'all grew up covering? You covered Bob Knight. Listen, if Bob Knight didn't win a game, and whether it was Indiana or Texas Tech, guess what? The stuff that he did, he wouldn't even last. And you know what? The reason why The reason why he is so loved because he makes everybody laugh. He's such an asshole to the media, to the players, but it made people laugh. Why did it make people laugh? Because he was winning. If he had the gall to sit up there and lose games, not win national championships, he'd be like, who in the hell is this guy to be putting his hands on players, headbutting players, throwing chairs, attacking the media? Bob Knight is one of the biggest bullies of all times. And I think it's extremely important that we point that out. But I don't think people want to admit that, because I think the word bullying gets thrown around by a lot, and a lot of people don't agree with it. But bullying is bullying, and that's what he did throughout his tenure. And I don't want to hear any of these people that go watching that want to talk about Juwan Howard losing his job. What he did was moderate. It was moderate. And by the way, the guy who he smacked, he deserved it because he put his hands on one of his players. I guarantee you, if you saw that as a head coach, you probably would have said something about that too. You may not hit him, but guess what? You're going to say something about it.
Yeah, and the fact that Greg Gard even, like, people think that I can't comprehend people saying that Greg Gard. The thing that confuses me. I am word vomit right now. I apologize. I don't know why Greg Gard at all 5'9" or whatever the hell he is would even think about putting his hands on what's Juwan Howard. What is it, 6'8"? I mean, like, there's not a single scenario where you ever come out on top in that situation. And
it's called Napoleon syndrome.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I didn't even think about that. And so I saw a little short dude pulling up to him like that. Yeah, you know what? He had the license to do that because he knew he had his players to back him up. So you know what? He played the game correctly. I give him credit.
Yeah. So are you worried about the Wolverines? I mean, they're a bubble team at this point, I would say. They had a big win at home tonight against Rutgers, but Juwan suspended 5 games the rest of the regular season. Are you nervous about them? How are you feeling? Like, what's the?
Oh, I'm nervous as hell. Yeah. I'm nervous as hell. This is not a good basketball team this year, and part of the reason is it's not from Michigan. They don't have what they had in Michigan teams in the past, and that is a bona fide scorer that they could give the ball to at any time. The past years, it was.
With the problem with Michigan, they thought it was going to be Dickinson this year. I think everyone in the whole country thought it was going to be Dickinson this year.
And Dickinson didn't fall off a cliff per se. He's not as good as he was last year, but he didn't fall off a cliff. The problem is that they're a relatively young team. Still got Eli Brooks. They still got guys like Johns, and they still got I'm drawing a blank on some of the names, but they have a young team. Caleb Houston, he's a freshman, he's a highly regarded freshman. Devontae Jones, transfer. But the issue is they don't have a scorer. They don't have a guy that can go out there and give you a smooth 20 plus every single night. And they got guys that you're like, hey, if they stay next year, they're gonna be good, like Houston and Diabate, but they're not that good of a basketball team. And I think considering, with Michigan this year, if they are considered a transition team to next season, I'm okay with that. I've been spoiled with a lot of Michigan success in basketball, even though it was disappointing to see how they have played this season, considering how they were very, very close to reaching the Final Four last season. But if this is a year where things are going to just develop, I'm okay with it. And if they don't make it far, again, I'm okay with it. It is what it is. We beat Ohio State football, so I can leech on that.
That's a good point. So Wolverines bubble team. Moving on though to a shared interest of ours. We haven't talked it in a while in here, but wrestling. I mean, on the road to WrestleMania, I think today it's 38 days until WrestleMania 38, and I'm intrigued with how the card's shaping up, but also confused at times, and there's a lot of unknowns still, and it's kind of weird, but I will say I'm loving babyface Brock Lesnar.
Oh, he's the best. He's awesome.
I just, like, you wonder, like, why didn't you let him show this side of his personality for so long? Like, why? Like, why? Like, he's making people smile, he's making people laugh. It's just, it's a different Brock Lesnar. It's his true personality. I honestly think so.
So a lot of people are going to sit there and complain about Brock and Roman main eventing again. Okay, I get it. You don't want to repeat matches, but you probably enjoyed Stone Cold and The Rock a couple of times, but that whatever. The difference between this match is what you said. True personalities are shining through this time. You don't have a guy in Roman Reigns who WWE's trying to force so much to try to be the face of the WWE and just like not have him be his authentic self. And you have Brock Lesnar, who has a mouthpiece and is not really saying anything. It's not a all the way good pairing. I'm not gonna say it's a bad pairing, but like it could have been better. And you could see this is what is better. Like this is it's important now with both titles being online, but in the same token, WWE's kind of booked themselves in the corner. You have two guys that are the most heavily protected wrestlers in WWE. Now, one person wins both titles. How are you going to take it off of them? Especially with Roman. Roman hasn't lost in like how many years now? It's been over a year.
So my thing is, we're coming up on 2 years actually. It's like 550 days or something like that. But right. I think we might see unification. I think we might see unification, go back to a one world title with rotate between the brands, and you kind of really see those mid-card titles come back to prominence and become the workhorse titles again, be the main title on the weekly show, the 2 weekly shows. And I honestly think it would be okay to have one world title for a while because of the lack of main event talent that WWE has developed when they have all the talent in the goddamn world in front of them. And I think this kind of allows them to do a bit of a reset and can help them out in the long run.
I didn't think about it that way because I've always been a proponent of having 2 championships. And I go back to like the Ruthless Aggression era where you had guys like Kurt Angle holding the championship, Triple H, and then Goldberg eventually coming along, Brock Lesnar, and Undertaker being in the mix and stuff like that. But it brings up a good point. You got to develop some stars. This is like you're being forced not to develop some stars. And it's crazy how, to me, it would have been so easy to keep the Rocket on Big E. Because let me tell you something. I guarantee you, if he was in the main event, a lot of people will be looking forward to the main event, whether it'll be on night 1 or night 2. And it's unfortunate for Bobby Lashley because Bobby Lashley, you would have thought like after he lost the championship to Big E, he's going to be lost in the shuffle. He would have been perfect to at least go against Brock night 1 and Brock goes night 2, face Roman or something like that. And then of course, it just for the career arc of Bobby Lashley gets freaking injured. And I feel so bad for him because thankfully he had a prominent match in last year's WrestleMania because, now this year he's not going to be in WrestleMania, but my goodness, I feel for him. I really, really do. But if they indeed are going to keep the championships separate, WWE's backed themselves in the corner. They have to develop some stars, regardless of whether they're going to completely unify the championships. They have to make a move in terms of putting a rocket to someone's ass. They have to.
So the thing is, I ultimately think that Roman's going to win, and I think you're going to get a stare down with him and The Rock for WrestleMania next year, and it's going to be a whole year build to WrestleMania, and it's essentially a 3-year build to WrestleMania. And I know people say WWE doesn't do long-term storytelling well, but it's hard. It's hard to argue that, and no one's gonna be complaining if The Rock comes back for that match.
You would hope not.
You would hope not. But the writing has got to be kind of on the wall for them. You have Seth Rollins, who's a legit main event star, I would say. You have AJ Styles, who you could throw in at any point, and he's a legit main eventer. You still got Randy Orton. I still think Big E's a main eventer. You have Lashley when he's healthy, McIntyre, but you just run through this list. Roman has beat every single one of them. And I mean, he beat Cesaro. Everyone. And do you want to know who I honestly think might be the man to come in and take the title off of Roman Reigns?
Go ahead, man. I know you're gonna say. Go ahead, man.
It's gonna be Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, it is.
It's gonna be Cody Rhodes.
It is. And listen, I think I it's very well documented. I am a big Cody Rhodes hater, probably a bigger Brandy Rhodes hater, but would it make sense? Maybe. If I was booking it, I would probably go McIntyre because they're building him back up, thankfully. And I think he wouldn't be a bad choice to be the second guy per se, but I don't know, man. I don't know, but I do have to ask you something because I feel extremely strongly about this, and I think this match is going to be a complete stinker. What do you feel about Ronda and Charlotte?
Dude, don't even get me started on it. I know Vince probably busted in his pants the moment he heard that Ronda wanted to come back, but the fact that I saw on Twitter, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, that the scheduled match until Ronda was confirmed to come back for the Rumble and win the Rumble was a fatal four-way for the 2 titles at WrestleMania between the 4 horsewomen. And the fact that that still hasn't happened, you had the triple threat, but you haven't had the fatal four-way. I mean, I'm happy Bianca Belair is back, and she's going to win.
Oh yeah,
she's going to win the championship from Becky Lynch. I am positive of that, and I'm excited for that because that's going to be a very good match. But Charlotte's a great wrestler. Let's not deny it. Like she's incredibly talented at what she does. But am I excited to see her and Ronda Rousey? No, not at all.
not at all. And because I'm not a Ronda fan. I'm not a Ronda fan. I think a lot of it is outside of wrestling and how much she like bitches and moans and stuff like that about the fans and why she left in the first place and stuff like that. But Charlotte, to me, if she don't give a shit, she's not gonna give her all. I think, and we've seen that with a couple of wrestlers, and I feel like she may give a shit about face of Ronda, but I think the appeal is gone. And I think we have a demand now for wrestlers like Sasha Banks, wrestlers like Bayley, who probably could come back for WrestleMania if she was in a big program.
Mm-hmm.
And and now you would think like, oh, Becky Lynch is the face of the women's division, or Charlotte is, or Sasha Banks could be. It's Bianca Belair. She's the face of the women's division. She's the most popular, most over wrestler on the roster. And you can say that. Well, you can say it about women for sure, but you can make a very big argument that she's more over than a lot of guys that's on the roster right now. So SmackDown has a uphill climb because, not for nothing, Ronda Rousey's not putting asses in seats like she's used to. I'm pretty sure probably a month or 2 into the reign, a lot of people are just going to be really sick of it. It's just Sasha Banks was the clear choice. And now she's fighting for a spot on the WrestleMania card, which is insane to me. It's insane. We haven't seen it since the Royal Rumble, and only God knows if she's even going to be at WrestleMania. That's a damn shame.
See, I'm of the opinion that she's the face of the women's division. I think she's the most over, but between her and Bianca, I mean, it's right there. So it's very interesting. I'm excited to see how the rest of the card shakes out, though. I hope that we get a fucky finish in this triple threat tag match, and we end up getting like that in a triple threat ladder match at Mania. Because I don't want to see Orton and Riddle done yet. I think they've been the best part about Raw for months now for me, personally. And I like what Alpha Academy is doing. I'm happy to see Chad Gable getting some shine because
absolutely
Chad Gable is so underappreciated, so underutilized, and he's kind of coming into his own on the mic a little bit.
Yes.
And I think that bodes well for him moving into the future because there's absolutely no doubt about the fact that he can go in the ring.
Absolutely. And you know what? I would not mind seeing Rollins and Owens as tag champions.
Either. It gives him something to do because I'll be honest, Seth's gimmick right now fucking sucks in my opinion.
Wow.
I'm not a fan. I'm honestly not a fan. I was for a while, but I just feel like the fact that he didn't beat Roman and the fact that he hasn't had a world championship run on it yet, I just like the gimmick. It started out hot. I thought it was great, and I'll say it. I love the Shield entrance. I thought that was fucking incredible.
Oh, it was
That
amazing.
was awesome. But I just like he's undoubtedly over, and he's still over with me. I love Seth Rollins. You can't tell me you don't.
He's my favorite.
If someone tells me you don't enjoy Seth Rollins matches, you're lying. You're lying.
Yes.
But I just like I don't know what he's got to do, but this version for me personally is just not doing it anymore. And I think putting him into that tag team with KO could kind of give him that little bit of a reset where he could pivot a little bit, because I think the fact that he has won the world championship with this gimmick is kind of diminishing it, if that makes sense.
I get it. And it's more of like what can happen after the fact for him to capitalize on a gimmick, because it's, to me, I think it's one of the best gimmicks on the roster right now. So I get your point. I absolutely get it. But I do feel like there's like this career arc for certain wrestlers where they need to be in a tag team to kind of rejuvenate or keep themselves within like that main picture on the roster.
He's done it before.
He's done it before. But with the caliber of the teammate that he has, because this ain't no Jason Jordan, with all due respect to him. This is Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is a guy that, to be honest, if I would be okay with Seth Rollins winning the tag team championships with him, just because of who his partner is. I just want to see both of them in a prominent role, just so they won't get lost in the shuffle. But it begs the question: if they don't win, Kevin Owens might go face Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is still crazy to me, by the way.
What's Seth Rollins doing at Mania? I think the thing is, at that point, I think he's facing Cody Rhodes.
I mean, you would think, because not for nothing, what is there for him to do? Competing on Andre the Giant Battle Royal? I wish they would put him in a spot like that. You don't deserve that. That's just a thing for a jobber to be hyped up for 2 weeks and they just forget about him. Yeah. You don't want that for Seth Rollins. So the best option may be for him to win the tag team championships.
And I would enjoy it. I would enjoy it. Kevin Owens is my favorite wrestler on the roster. I love watching him on television. I think he's incredible. But then you also have to think about it. Like the other thing I've been thinking about, it's got to be AJ Styles and Edge at Mania, right? Basically,
definitely.
Like that. I mean, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that. But the fact that it is less than 40 days to WrestleMania right now, and we are having a conversation about what's Seth Rollins doing at WrestleMania, what's Sasha Banks doing at WrestleMania, what's the New Day doing at WrestleMania. I mean, like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that there's just that much uncertainty and they have that much talent on the roster. It will never make sense to me. But hey, Veer Mahan is coming.
Yeah, when?
He's gonna win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Book it.
Yeah. And you know what? Before we had this conversation, I said Big E most likely gonna win it, and I don't love that for him at all, because it's like, how are you going from champion to be relegated to that? Like that just. And by the way, didn't get a rematch. By the way, never got a rematch. So let's hopefully we keep that in mind after WrestleMania. But yeah, I can see that happening. But that'll be a weird time to win it. That's for sure.
I'm going to leave with this thought, I think, because we have all these people with uncertainty, and there's a very, very simple way WWE can fix this, and that's by bringing Money in the Bank back to WrestleMania. If you're going to be doing it 2 nights like they've been doing the past few years, Money in the Bank doesn't need to be its own pay-per-view. It felt special. It's still, I mean, Money in the Bank is now essentially a Big Four pay-per-view, I think, and they're going to have a hard time parting with that. But Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, I mean, the early Money in the Banks were incredible, just incredible. We could have 80 to 100,000 people in front of it. Like, it was just, you had Ric Flair doing bumps off the top of the ladder. You had Jeff Hardy diving through everything. Shelton Benjamin's crazy spots. It was just, it felt special.
What they could do as well is add some type of incentive for the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Can't be just like argue with a big ass trophy with him on it. Who the hell wants that? All due respect to Andre, I don't want that. I don't want that trophy. I want a title shot at something. Like it should be a title of your choosing, no matter if it's United States, Intercontinental, WWE, Universal Championship. It should be the same. It's the same thing with the Women's Battle Royal. And there should be incentives. If you want to bring back the Money in the Bank, I'm for it. That was some of the best stuff on the WrestleMania card when it was on there. But if you're going to have multi-man matches, it needs to mean something. Battle Royal needs to mean something. So that would be how I would fix the issue of getting guys into more prominent positions to where if they are in the Battle Royal, it's not like they're there just to be there. They're there to compete for something.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. And I think that it's a good place for us to leave off and kind of lead into the conversation. We'll be having an interview coming within the next week or so with Colin Storico. He's been on the show before talking wrestling on the road to WrestleMania last year, and much smarter wrestling mind, I would say, than the both of us. I think he's a little more in depth with his thoughts than we are, and that's okay, because it's good to have different perspectives. But
right,
I would love to hear what he has to say, and I'm excited for Mania. But I just want to say thank you for making it this far. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the show, and we'll be back next week again, regular scheduled programming. Thank you.
Right.